Oh, wow. I guess I'm live. Hey, fellow humans. Hey, I'm Chris. I hope everybody's doing as great as they possibly can. So, doing something a little different. You guys know I like to post things. I'm a brace now. Got the two awesome pups, Charlie and Wrigley. Charlie's pretty wise. But I just want to take an opportunity today just to share something that's been on my heart and on my mind quite some time during all of this perceived craziness that's going on in our world. Probably the biggest thing that's happened, right, is that a lot of our external world feels out of our control. So a lot of times when that happens, when we don't feel like we have control of our external world, we feel like we lose the control of our internal world, or even so much more, the external world is absolutely in control of how I'm going to feel about things, which isn't necessarily true, right? I mean, that seems to make sense, but a lot of times it doesn't work that way. Kind of our whole social programming has been the opposite of that. Even when we were little kids, we had songs that were like, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when the skies are gray." So a lot of the times we've been taught to believe that what's going on outside of us creates our internal experience, our internal um, feelings, and what we are supposed to feel about a situation. I don't believe it's that way. And I just kind of wanted to share today with you a little story. I like to tell stories. And this is a story that happened. This is an experience that happened to me about 15 years ago. But before I tell you that, I have to go back about to when I was like 23, 24 years old. I had an experience that happened to me that left me with an entirely new understanding and deep interpretation of the words "Know you are loved." And I'm not going to go into that today. That's another story for another day. But it means everything to me, and I share that essence with anyone that I come in contact with, quite frankly. And so, uh, fast forward in time to when I'm 40, and I have this wonderful opportunity to visit Ecuador. And I get this opportunity to visit Ecuador with this incredible group of people, this incredible group of compassion warriors with the organization Extreme Response and a church that I was attending at the time. And we were going to go over there and primarily go over there to assist and to service the humans that were dwelling in the dumps at the time. Ecuador, like a lot of South American countries, have large populations of people that live in the dumps. They make their way into the dumps because they can get in there and they live there, and they can also go through the refuse and find things that they can sell back to recyclers once in a while. So we had been over there for a little while, and we'd been going into the dumps and stuff. And I had met this young lady and her little girl on day one that I was in there. And the little girl's name was Rosalita, and she was 6 at the time. And a little picture of her right here. If you can see Rosalita right there. She's a little girl right there. You can see her little play area, right? Yeah, nice little play area in the junk. You know you were loved there. Well, her and her mom had kind of really latched on to me on the first day that we were in there. And Rosalita's mother was a first generation dump dweller. Meant she had been born there, and then her Rosie was a second generation, so she had also been born there and had not been outside of the dump. And her and her mother lived in an 8x10 wooden crate with a piece of sheet metal over the top of it, and a little crate in the corner where Rosie would sleep at night. And we went in there, and I went over there with the whole purpose of wanting to share this essence of know you are loved from a universal sense that and I thought, wow, what better place to teach that, to love on people that are in these dumps. Realistically, the lowest place of existence, if you will, for a human being to try to live in a dump. And it was horrific as I thought it would be when I first walked in there. Just horrible, horrible living conditions. And yet the people seemed very okay. I mean, they were doing what they had to do to try to make it and try to survive, but yet they seemed okay, which really struck me Like, I don't know, how can anybody feel okay with this? And so one day in particular, I had gone in there and I'd taken a couple of bags of oranges that we had, and we were in there. And I went to Rosalita and her mother, and her mother was actually working. They would go work 6A to 6P, 6P to 6A, and they would work and they would wait till the refuse would come in, and they would go and they would pick the plastics and the metals out that they could sell to the recyclers. And so I was sitting on a tipped over bucket next to Rosalita, and I'd given her a couple of oranges, and I'd given her these oranges, and I was just sitting in this bucket, and I'm sitting ankle deep in mud and refuse and animal feces and just horrible, horrible stuff. And I'm just having one of those FU moments to this, right? And no way is there a God that would ever allow this to happen to human beings. And how was this little girl supposed to experience joy and bliss and happiness when she's surrounded with this horrific experience? I'm just having this moment, a major down moment. And as I'm in the midst of all of this, I feel this tug on my sleeve, and I look down, and and this little angel had peeled those oranges, and she had split one of the oranges and was handing me half of her orange with this beautiful smile on her face. And it was in that moment, it just struck me. Oh my goodness. She's experiencing joy and she's experiencing happiness. Not only that, she's sharing it with me. And I became overwhelmed with this reality that is not the external conditions that are creating our internal experience. And despite the fact that she had been born in this situation, she was experiencing so much happiness and joy, and she wanted to share that with me. And in that moment, I also realized that I was the student and not the teacher. This little angel was teaching me, no, you are loved. And so I really wanted to share that with you because I think a lot of the time, especially right now in our external world, seems like it's going to be creating this misery inside, and it's not the case. When I sit back and I reflect on Rosalita's experience, what I know is that she was experiencing gratitude for those delicious oranges. And she was experiencing joy in the fact that she had them. And not only that, she wanted to share that bliss by sharing it with me. And I think we all can do that. And I also want to add that I took my half of my orange and I ate my half of my orange. I looked down at her and she was eating one little piece at a time. Put it in her mouth, enjoying that slice of orange. And that truly was embracing now. So as we go forward in the situation that we're all in, I want us to all I wanted to share this with you today, just to think about that. The things this little girl was teaching me, the gratitude, the joy of what we have, right? The joy of what we have, not what we don't have, but what we do have. And when we have that bliss, can we share that bliss? Because my experience has been when I share bliss, it magnifies my bliss. All right, exactly. So I wanted to take a little time to share that with you. And I've got a mentor and a colleague, and a surrogate dad, if you will. His name is Howard Myers, and Howard's a 74-year-old man, and he is 53 years ago. He had his eyes blown out in Vietnam by a landmine. And one of the things that Howard always says to me, and it just resonates with me every day, is he's like, Chris, I go to bed in the darkness. I wake up in the darkness, but I choose to live in the light. Rosie, she goes to bed in the darkness of the existence that she was in. She would wake up in the same existence, but she chose to live in the light. And we can do the same. We can absolutely do the same. And that is how we're creating our internal experience. It doesn't have to be dictated by the external world. And when we do that, we start to change the external world. So, right on, my friends, much love.